Hello,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Welcome to another session of Bouncyrock's bi-monthly banter, where we're here to go ahead and give you the skinny on what's been going on in-house and give you guys some chances to do some Q&A. So with that, I'll give it away to Chris. As you can see here today, we have Chris and Lewis today with us.
Yeah, I was already champing at the bit and talking over you, but yes. We have some things. Can I just see in the chat that we're getting some people can hear us and all that kind of jazz? Hi, hi, hi. If anyone can shout out a message just saying we could hear you all, that would be grand. And then I'll start rambling. Hello. Definitely just haven't just sat down the computer. Right, let's yes, all works fantastic. All right. So yeah, it has been a busy couple of months. I think like right after the last 1 week where the art crew put out the Bellow Gloom set, and since then it's been a lot. So a lot of the time on the code side we had ended up spending on bugs as well, which was super annoying. We had some stinkers in there. What were the ones that are really standing out? Oh yeah, we ran into a case where Windows has a really annoying limit to how long a file path can be. And when you run into that, there are ways around it, but they all have like small edge cases that like means you have to go back and check all the code that touches any kind of file. So we had a bunch of stuff there. We also finally got down to trying to kill the slab mispositioning bug, which has been around for a long time. Big shout out to actually, I've seen Baldrix, I think, in the chat. Yes, big thanks to him and the others who were helping us with just narrowing that one down, because like every time we get one part of it, because we've done this before, like I think 2 or 3 times, where we think like, we've nailed this and all of our test cases pass, and then there's another slab which messes it all up, or we introduce some new thing. So that was really good to get squeezed. Um, as you can see, there's no folks from the art crew this time, so I'm not going to be as good at answering some of the questions as them. But yeah, hopefully on the next one we'll be back in the swing and give you the deets. But I can say that Jason has been working on Kickstarter rewards, and he's also had some leave, so that's been good. So all that kind of stuff that we're doing for Kickstarter has been slowly churning away in the background. I think we're up to some of the bigger sets now, but don't quote me on that. So we will like, yeah, that will reveal itself in due course. Hannah has been working on a new spaceship set. So a new sci-fi release is coming very soon. We would like, I really want to say like, oh, it's coming, and then a specific date. But it is like, if all goes well, unless something explodes, it's very soon, and it's looking neat, and it's got some, especially the windows are looking sick. Again, I would have screenshots, but I don't have the screenshots, so we'll have to wait for the art crew to get to those. Borodust as well has been luckily doing less because he's been on parental leave, which is fantastic. So things have been quieter on the back end side of things. We have noticed, though, seeing as it's rambling about things now, I've noticed that. So there's two parts to the back end for Tailspire. There's the stuff we make, and then there's a service we use for the real-time communication. We do kind of the lower frequency messaging, and they do the high frequency messaging. That part has been having some issues for folks. We saw it here in Norway the other day. I know some folks in Canada were seeing it the other week. Things where you try and make a campaign, it takes a long time because we can't get like queries certain of their servers. It's been a bit odd, and a bit annoyingly, their status page doesn't report there being problems, which is tricksy because we know it's not been our end. So yes, we'll be looking into that as we can. But yeah, bugs has been keeping us from some of the feature work, but that's not to say it hasn't been happening. So Alex has been busy wearing particles, so we've been doing more experiments there, just throwing around, hundreds of thousands of particles and building the infrastructure for that. I've been helping out a little there. We've got the, so the way our artists want to work on how the particles, basically the code for the particles, is done through a noodle graph. This is the same kind of thing we use for a lot of our shaders, are all visually scripted, and that's the workflow they prefer. So we are currently building a little particle language on top of that. It's going well. I've got some more to do on that next week, so hopefully we can make some more progress there. But it's been good to see that progressing. Alex is currently doing experiments with getting the depth buffer into there, so we can use that in more of the effects as well, which is awesome. Lewis has been doing a lot of stuff on tags and things to do with things that have really required us to put out a new mod format and also the filtering. And he's going to talk more about that. So I will stop talking about it. And then, Johnny's been a busy boy. He's been helping out with. Oh, let me write down another note as well, so I don't forget, because there's been stuff happening. Right. Johnny's been helping out with the vision limiting system that I've showed off before, and I might show off again today because I'd like to show you the UI that we've got for that. That is coming along really well. It's one of those things that looks like it's like 90% done, and then you have another 150,000%. It's so annoying. Last night I spent a lot of time getting it to work on Mac, because it turned out there was a bug in. I haven't worked out if it's Unity or it's a piece of software by Microsoft, but yeah, there was a bug in the compiler there, which was really screwing us over. So that's going well. I mean, we got it to the point where it's fully working, and we're on kind of polish and cleanup now. So I would be very surprised if you didn't see the vision limiting system this month. Yeah, there you go. I mentioned a date. I will live to regret that, as I always do. Let's see. Yes, he's also been working on status effect stuff for minis, so more than the knockdown. Like he was doing that before, but that tangent led him on to looking at scaling and parenting of objects onto miniatures, and that gave us the pinging system that we released a few months ago. So that's the last thing that distracted us from getting you more statuses, but statuses are back on the table. He's also been doing a lot of stuff with the terrain system. So I've seen some previews of that. Again, they don't let me show the shiny things yet, but it's just very cool. He's currently working on tooling around making these kind of slabs of terrain or water or whatever, and how you manipulate those. And so there's a lot of good stuff there. Yeah, very, very, it's cool to hear that level of confidence in what needs to be built. So it's really coming along well there. Let's see. Myself, I've been helping out all over. So again, been doing a little bit of stuff on the particle system, have been fixing up the vision system. I just released the dice in inventories feature the other day. That, again, was another one we showed in a devlog and looked basically done. But it turned out that there were some very important cases we had to consider, which is when you either store those roles as a URL, which we haven't exposed yet, but we will, or you're synchronizing them between computers. You need to be able to handle. We want you to be able to add dice to Tailspire in the future, which means all of those the role information actually has to store package addresses or addresses of a dice within a pack somewhere, like on either Mod.io or one of your repositories and things like this. So we needed to make sure that would work. So that was a bunch. Did that this week. The rewrite of the dice rolling system is going well. I parked that so I could look at some of the dice and inventory stuff, but it's getting picked up again. That's fine. I'm up to the point where a lot of the surrounding mechanics are done. It's down to the actual network, how to structure the packets that we're sending over the network. And then we've added some small things, just like, stuff in the settings so you can get better information for reporting bugs and things like this. Also, yes, I've been in touch with our font guy again. That was very much held up by me not being organized. So the font stuff can progress. I'm expecting to hear something from him later this month. He's on leave right now, but when he's back, he's doing some. I had to get my build of the game, which allowed him to mess with fonts. And now he has that. He's been working on some things and has some tweaks he wants to make to the font before we go and change out all the UI. Because then our thing we have to do is just sit down for a couple of days and just replace everything. But that is going to be the easy bit. So that's cool. Yeah, I think that's the stuff that we want to talk about high level. Other stuff I'm sure will come up in Q&A. Yeah. So in that case, I'm going to hand over to Lewis, who's been working on tagging and various things, so we can talk about just that whole problem, because we've been working on that for a while. Take it away, sir.
A while it has been indeed. Yeah, we are finally closing in on the at least first like version or first part of all of the tag system, which I've been talking about on and off for way too long because it's been taking way too long. But the question is like, why did it take so long? Why will it still take so much longer? The short answer obviously is tags are really hard and search is really hard, and we kind of made it even worse for ourselves because we like give so many freedoms to people. So when you have, for example, in some other game, many games have decent searches, like I don't know, Factorio or Space Engineers or Satisfactory or whatever. Like all of those, they have decent search. Like you can find the stuff you are searching for, and I guess you also notice what kind of games I'm playing, but let's put that aside. But yeah, you can find your stuff. The problem is that always with these kinds of games, or like any kinds of normal games in a sense, is that things in a game usually have a purpose. So if you want to like place a smelter, the game knows that, oh, this thing smelts stuff, so it can put it in some production tab or whatever, and it's only used for that. Like this is its purpose, and that's it. And similarly, like you have all of the things that have certain like jobs in a game and can be categorized as such. But since Tailspire doesn't really have a like gameplay loop in that sense, where we have like strict like things that are happening and that we force on you, because obviously like this is a BTT. We want you to be able to tell your stories and like be in control. So that kind of doesn't really work. We can't have a production tab and put everything in production in there. It just doesn't really work for us. And then even if we go to stuff like that's more building focused, for example, a Sims, even that still has uses. Like a bed is for your Sims to sleep in, or a table has a certain use for like the gameplay mechanics, for comforts and all of that stuff. And you can still categorize that stuff as such. They have a function. We know where walls and floors go, and we know what a roof is, and all of that stuff. And that's great, wonderful. The problem is that Tailspire has freedom. So we don't know if you will use a bookshelf as a wall. We don't know if this telescope is actually a mortar tube for you. We don't know if all of those floors are floors or if you stack them to make a really, really, really thick wall. And we also don't know if this bag of rice should be a bag of rice for you, or a bag of pebbles, or a bag of sand, or a bag of, I don't know, some sci-fi material like shredded Kevlar, what I don't know. And that kind of also makes things harder. So our tag system has to kind of be able to accommodate that. And yeah, it's an interesting problem. And this even goes to stuff like minis. Like, for example, we kind of want to go to a point where we have tags that describe what the thing looks like instead of what it does, because what it does is up to you as the builder and the player. So, for example, if we have a tag for, I don't know, NPCs for your sci-fi or modern RPG, and you want to populate your office tower with office workers, how exactly does a bank worker look different from an office assistant or a lawyer, or like all of the other like thousands of office jobs? Like there's not really a defined difference. Like a lawyer has to look like this, and they have like 3 millimeters of trim on the. That's not a thing that exists. Or going to fantasy, if an elf is wearing a hood and you don't see like the pointy ears, is it still an elf? Like, do we tag it as an elf? Maybe, but you probably would also want to find it if you just search for an archer, for example. Even like we might know it's an elf, but if it has a bow and has a hood, like, do you really know? And all of these kind of like questions of like, what did the artist want to make with this asset, and what can people use it for? And there has to be a balance between being defined enough that we know like what things are, but giving enough freedom to allow people to find stuff, even if it's not for the one purpose we thought of while making it. Because if there's one thing we've learned over the entire time of Tailspire, is that we are really not that great at figuring out what people will do with things that we give them. They usually will also do that thing, but thousands of other things as well. So we kind of have to accommodate that. Yeah, and I just have some more examples there. Like, is a dock worker different from a warehouse worker? Like, where's the difference? How close the warehouse is to the water? How are we supposed to know where you put the dock worker? but yeah, that's kind of the interesting part about that. And with that in mind, let's try to find one of my 10,000 Chrome windows so I can stream something. Window. With that in mind, let's look at this wonderful cloud of tags. This is basically one of our visualizations for the tags. I've done a graph database for all of the tags with it seems a bit complex at first, but it actually has quite good reasons. So for example, if we want to zoom into this, we have like a humanoid tag, and this humanoid tag is basically connected to a bunch of other things. For example, like a gnome is humanoid, plant folk is humanoid, cat folk is humanoid, an ogre is humanoid, and so on and so forth. So what's gonna happen is basically if you want to, for example, if you have an elf and that elf has a hood, you as the artist, like you created that model and you as the artist know that's an elf. I want this to be an elf. You can tag elf, but what we do is basically we want to make sure that if you tag elf, that humanoid will also be there like automatically. So whenever someone tags elf, we also add the tag humanoid because it's a relevant tag, and like that's the thing that we want to allow to search for, because sometimes like if you just want to populate your city wall, you don't really care if it's an elf or whatever. It's just archers, or maybe it doesn't even have to be just archers. Maybe it's just some random humanoids, and you just search for humanoids and you get the humanoids basically, and this kind of stuff. So we kind of made a like taxonomy, but as anyone who's done anything with taxonomy, like even just barely, you will know that while we humans really like to put things into like folders and categories and whatever, the real world does not. So if we look for example, where is that stuff with jobs? Mammal, there we are. So I have a taxonomy, like an actual real world taxonomy. So we have our mammals here, and then directly like some animals. And it's interesting because we have mammal, and then we go to animal, and then arthropod, and we have our birds as well, and all of this kind of fun stuff. But sometimes things aren't where you expect them to be, or things that we in informal language call one thing are actually into completely different groups. So the question is now, do we do it right? Do we do it in the sense that most people will get it? But then we have the problem. Maybe it's just in our Western culture that people will think these two things are the same, but in some other cultures, they actually understand that they're completely different. I don't know. And there's a lot of fun stuff there that we've found answers to. These answers will not always be the correct ones, but we have to make a call somewhere. And
Do
I
you
will not
remember
go
one of
into
the
this.
examples that was really one of the really fiddly ones? Because we had to stop at some point with certain ones, because you get into kind of Latin taxonomies. You like go up that like, okay, it's not strictly one of these, but if we go up here, it becomes some like horrendous word that you need a degree to
really, really weird, because like at some point we need this thing to be able to be used by normal people and not taxonomists. So that's also kind of a problem. Like we can't go. Arthropod is already kind of a stretch, but people at least can search centipede and whatever.
Where do worms go, for example?
Where do worms? Worms are wild. I've learned so much about biology while doing this. Like worms are I don't know. Worms are weird. And then obviously like the typical like bugs aren't really bugs, because there's like the true bugs, and then there's like insects, and I already forgot again which way it goes, but we can look at that. Let's see. We have insect. Bugs are insects, but we often call insects bug in informal language, and it's a whole. I'll stop now, otherwise it'll take forever. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. And all of this, what we're looking at, all of this is just the creature tags. I can do a short magic trick here and refresh this page, and then we will get a glimpse of what all of the tile and prop tags also look like. I don't want to go too far into it because A, it really lags the crap out of my browser, and B, the tile and prop tags are a bit older, and there's some things in there that we know we want to change but have not gotten to yet, because the creature tags were kind of the focus for now, because with all of you guys making community creatures and everything, which are I never thought there would be so many, and it's I mean, it's getting a real problem searching through them is kind of a lie, because it's already been a real problem searching through them for ages, and it's just taking us so long to get to this point. So I was really laser focused on the creatures for now, and tile and props will come later. But yeah, there's also some fun stuff there because there's a lot more ambiguity, funnily enough, even in tiles and props, because suddenly again the bag of rice or bag of whatever, it's interesting. But yeah, let's leave that behind for now and go to the next thing. I have so many screen shares to do. Give me a second, and the next one will come, which is our questionnaire. Now, to preface this, this is not how it's going to look like. Not even a little bit, because this is just a symbiote that I just made for a UI and UX mockup, like how we actually want things to potentially look like, or work more like. And this is, by this point, really old, but this is kind of the idea that we had for at least the basic tags. So what we want is we want consistent and repeatable tags that are also consistent across various people tagging, because turns out tagging is also a really subjective and personal thing. So we to be able to use tags well, we need to make sure that they're at least somewhat consistent, because that's kind of a problem with our current ones, that sometimes materials are tagged, sometimes they aren't, because depending on like who did the tagging or when the tagging happened, or like many different factors, it's just forgotten or not done, or it didn't feel appropriate because there's only this tiny piece of wood in there, and so on. It's complex. So what we wanted is a questionnaire where you just go through, okay, we have, is this creature humanoid? It is one of the two. I think that's actually broken. Oh no, skip neither applies. I took a while to since that. But yeah, is it a monster? Yes, it is a monster. Is it domesticated? Dread Observer is not domesticated by humans, and so on. You go through the list and you just get a list of basic tags that are fine. And at the end, you can go in and then enter your custom tags in here. So you can just go like, this is actually a bird, and you click bird and suddenly it's a bird. And then the point comes of, this is still a list of our tags that we give you, and this is never going to be enough. Like there's always going to be something that people will want to add. So there's also custom tags, so you can like Glarble and add Glarble as a tag, and suddenly Glarble is a tag, and people can search for that. Obviously only for like once they've downloaded it and whatever. There's a few different things there to consider, but we wanted you to be able to make your own tags, because that's kind of necessary. Otherwise, like if you make your own like cool species or whatever and you can't name it, that's not great. But yeah, then let's get to the points of what tags should be used for, and what the search should achieve, which is we want to tag what we see and less what it's for, and we want the search to be able to be usable by people who know already what they're looking for. So that's the first kind of thing. Like, you know the asset you want, but since we have so many assets now, like going through the individual folders, like was it in Tavern, or like was it in a nature or Misc exterior? Was it in nature, or was it whatever? Like at some point, it's hard to remember where things were, and you already know what you want, so you need to be able to find that. That's the first use case. And then the second use case is basically, you have something that you want to build. You have a feeling, a thing in mind that needs to be done, and you don't know the asset that fits that thing or use case or scenario that you want to design, and that should kind of also work for that. It's big words. Let's see how well we actually do it, but it looks to be, otherwise we wouldn't work on it. It looks to be good. I'll leave it at that before I go too deep there. And as a kind of last thing, let's go to what we currently have, because that's all like grand stuff. That's not really everything that we currently are able to be shipping. But what will be coming out is on Wednesday, I think, we pushed out the Tailspire update that basically contains all of the internal stuff necessary for most of the tags to work and for content flags to work. And that's kind of brings me to like what kind of asset discovery mechanisms we have, which is a search. With a search bar, you have tags, you enter stuff, you find something that you want. We have browsing, you don't know what you want, and you just browse through like folders. That's basically the library that we have currently. And there's filtering, which is basically like getting rid of things you do not want to see. And the filtering part is the one that's currently ready, because of like a lot of people have been talking to us like, hey, wonderful that we have so many community minis, but I really don't want to see X ever. And I just want to be able to like filtered it out. And that was the smallest amount of work from all of the things to do. And it was seemingly the most pressing. So that's what I kind of focused on, with the obviously keeping in mind that all of this work also is basically what's necessary to get the full tag and search stuff to work. Like, it's not that I left it at the side and then forgot it. Like, pretty much, like, flags and tags internally are kind of the same. It's just some stuff around the tags that we need to be doing first. And with that, let's get to the very last screen share. Hopefully, I think so. Screen share, yes. Tags. So let's go.
But
to
yeah,
this.
it was nice. I'll dive in while you're doing that. Saying, yeah, we wanted to get filtering to you as soon as possible, but we knew if we just chucked it in and did something on the mod.io side, we might paint ourselves into a corner where we couldn't integrate it properly into all the other stuff that we've been building for like the last year. So this has been like, getting this out has been the focus. But yeah,
this is kind of our new Tailweaver Lite. You'll notice that there's not that much change. The only thing that really changed is that this section here, do you actually see my mouse cursor? I think you do, yeah, mouse cursor there. This section here changed. We added content flags here. The tags is still a coming soon. It'll be something like the questionnaire you saw before, but in Tailweaver. And yeah, you just go in and you select, is the model 2D? Actually, let's grab something. Let's load this. And it is already saved with some stuff. So for the test minis, like, obviously this is not a 2D mini, but just to demonstrate how it would be used, imagine this would be like a standy thing, and you just press yes, and then it's painted. So we don't press unpainted, and it's not created using AI. And we also press no there, and then we have like our typical setup for everything. Like that part hasn't changed at all. And what has changed is that you can now go in and say publish, and you will get a publisher. And from there, you can enter your details like, oh, this is a cool summary and descriptions and whatever, and fill out all of the details. And if you press upload, it will do it. Like, just do it. What you will have to do, obviously, the first time you open the publisher is log in. So the first time you open it, it'll be like, you need to log in with your account, and then just log in. It's basically the same login flow as in the in Tailspire itself, just that it's limited to just the browser login. So you need to log into your browser and grab the code from Tailweaver and then put the code in there, and it's magically linked. You get that. And if you open a mini that has already been uploaded, you can go also to publisher, and then you'll see that it's different, because here you can go in and actually change like details about a mini that's already been uploaded. So you also don't need to go to the website to like update something. And as a final goodie, we have the bulk updater, which you can go into, and you can see all my wonderful test minis with incredibly creative names of test 2, and test 3. And you can just go in there and you can like select all and say replace flags, and then blah 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 blah, and then press update, and it updates.
So this, just to confirm, this is for like, so if someone has already like 200 standy minis, they don't have to download every single one of them, and then go and add the filters on every single one of them, and then re-upload them all the time. They can just come in here.
It's not for initial uploads. It's just for if you already have things that are uploaded, you can go in and edit some stuff about it, which is, you can change the name. You can change the attached website to it. You can change whether it's public or private. You see the flags, and you can set them here. And with the new flags, it'll update a new mod file, and that will also allow you to enter a new version, a new changelog for that thing. And that's kind of it. Also, one thing, it also will upgrade the creature format. So if you have the old format uploaded, it'll download it, upgrade it, put the new data in, and upload it with the new format. It doesn't really matter, because Tailspire understands both. Like, all of the uploaded stuff continues to work. Like, this is not an issue. But that's what it does internally. And that's, I don't want to say, let's not say a specific date, but hopefully very soon. The Tailweaver Lite, at least beta, will come out. Not full release, because we need to be absolutely sure that everything in there is okay. Because if you start uploading or like updating all of your 500 minis, like that each of I don't even know how many minis, like some of those completely like Gaunt Splitters and so many minis, and if you start updating all of them and suddenly there's an issue we find, not great. So we want to make a short beta period and figure out, like, is everything actually solid? And once that's done, yeah.
And the reason it downloads and re-uploads them is that because we don't want Tailspire to be dependent on just services that we're running, we bake the tags into the minis themselves. So not only are the tags put onto Mod.io so they can be filtered properly through the Mod.io service, but they're also put inside the miniature so that they can be regrouped and done as you guys like and handled completely offline and out of control of us. And they'll still have all the information that's needed for doing search and all this kind of stuff once we've shipped that. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I think that's it on me. And
Fantastic.
if you have further questions, put in the question box. Today is the best day to ask them because I'll be here on the stream, and I don't think I'll be on the next one. I'll be here when there's something interesting to share. Let's say it like this. But yeah, if you have questions, the question board is your friend.
Okay.
Wicked.
If there's not anything else, we'll go ahead and get into that. We have, I believe, the largest question queue to date out of all of these banters.
Shall I give them, make it even worse by showing off a bit of the vision stuff? Because I do have.
Oh, you can. I can certainly make that happen.
Right. All right. Let's see if we can do demo stuff. It's going to be a quick one. I just want to show. There's been like most of the stuff is internal. Yeah, Panda, let me know when I'm up. And
I have the screen share thing ready. It just depends on which stream you're using. You need to screen share too.
Oh, is my is it not running yet?
You are not in the session.
Oh, I'm a dingus. Okay, there we go. 1 second. Screen share with room. We don't need to worry about audio stuff. Let's just let's try just doing that. Is that okay?
I don't see. Oh, hold on. There we go. Yep, it is up. You are good.
Wicked. Okay. All right. Yes. So we've got some. Last time we showed the vision, there was the UI situation was rough because I just threw things in. Johnny's been through and has made things saner, so we no longer have stuff hidden away in panels. We've got some extra buttons here. So the first thing is, as a GM, if you want to see what your party can see, in fact, let's start even more kind of ground level. If you right-click on a miniature, you can go to GM Tools. There's a sight range here, and you can drag it up and down, and that will let you configure how far something can see according to this system. Now, as before, this is not full fog of war. This is not meant to be able to handle all different cases. We were really focused on those folks that were struggling to do dungeon runs, dungeon crawls especially, because people could just see everything, and that was really spoiling the fun. So I can set the range there. And as you can see, I'm in GM, so I can see everything. But I probably want, as a GM, to be able to see what those limitations are. The only ones that have the vision limits are members of the party. So what I've done here is this creature currently belongs to me, or I can make him belong to just a little guy. And then when I click this button up here, now it just limits to showing, but everything that's gray is stuff that won't be visible by the party. And so we can see up here, there's Pig. The Pig can see things. Oh, Pig's down here now. And this guy can see these things. Right. And then I can stop doing this anytime. I'm going to, I've only got one person here, so it's a little difficult, but I'm going to say, like, this means that a player can see everything like normal. So if I go over here, oh, blast, it's not working right. Damn you, demo gods.
Yeah,
okay.
Curse of the demo.
Yeah, cool. So normally this icon means they can see everything just like in Tailspire today. When it's in this mode, it means they've got the vision limit. And that means that when we go into this, as they move around, it reveals things and hides things and does that kind of stuff. This is the feature that we've been trying to bring to you for a while. Yeah, like I say, last night where I was fighting with compiler stuff for Mac support, but that's good. Evidently, I've still got a few more UI bugs to work out, so that's coming. But I just wanted to let you know that this is coming. There's little cases on this that, like, I don't know if we want to try and cover in this UI in the first bash, or we're just gonna like ship it, let you guys play with it. But it is close. As you can see, it's like it's working, but we've got to polish, otherwise it's going to be kind of unplayable. And this is only useful when you're running with a party. So expect that soonish. I would like, again, I want to say it's just about ready to ship, but as you can see, I just found another bug. So that bug list still has a few things on it. One of the tricksy cases is that when you, and this is something we haven't worked out yet, but is on the list. So if we have vertical fog, let's bring it up here. Here's some vertical fog. This is a really, this effect looks way better than it should, considering how little processing power it takes. It's a real hack, but a really like a hack in the best way. The problem is, if we remove the floor, it can't operate properly because it's relying on, it's doing stuff with the depth. And when all this stuff goes away, there isn't anything here for the fog to work against. And now it looks like this, which is not really what you were going for. So we need to have a think about that and work out what we can do. We did also experiment at one point with cutting the water, but so far it's like we did some experiments and they were interesting, but not so good that we wanted to ship that. So at the moment, the water with the vision system is just standard. So that's fine. Yes, all of these things need to play together. Oh, this demo doesn't have, no. Okay, I'll show that off another day. There's some more dice features coming, but yeah, we can talk about that another time. That's my demo. Let's go do Q&A.
All right, let's hop right into it because we got a big queue and we only have about less than an hour of our allotted time normally. So our first question is up from Monophos, who says, I have received the flu from my wife and a 2-year-old, so now I'm able to be home and watch the stream. Would it be possible to have hotkeys for things like minis to fall down, attack slash trails, cast magic effects, explosions, etc.?
Like fundamentally, I don't see why not. Yeah, that's the kind of short answer in that. Probably.
I believe there was talk in a past banter of putting those kinds of things on the inventory bar and making the inventory bar have hotkeys.
This is one place we're going to struggle today. I have difficulties with my memory a lot of the time, so there's some of these things that, like, Panda, feel free to jump in, and Jer as well, like, and help me out in case I start saying the wrong thing. Normally we have Johnny on here who can correct me on stuff like that.
Okay. Maribor Rezik asks, will there be a solution to designing more tree types forthcoming? What we already have for trees is nice, but the inability to create a large canopy tree with even a modest overhang is frustrating. There are many ways this could be addressed, so I'm not going to pester you about what solution you will choose. Just please tell me something is planned. Thank you.
I don't think, like, so so there's the kind of stuff we've talked about, and there's the actual roadmap. I don't remember seeing another pass at trees in the roadmap right now. But again, like with the art team not being on the stream, I don't want to make any promises either way. But yeah, no, that sounds like a real thing. Again, as with all asset things, make sure they're in the asset request site, because when we work out what pack to make, we look at that for inspiration. It's really been helpful for us, even though we've got some things on our list that are like, no, we got to do this first as well, or at least we got to do this. So Hannah's sci-fi set that's coming out very soon is very much a labor of love.
Okay. Somex Tacky asks, will the terrain builder consider water flow direction, i.e. water flows downhill, so the water level slowly declines, making a river actually flow downhill without having to use steps?
No, and here's why. What about a world where the water falls up? What about when time is frozen? What about, like, so that's the kind of thing where, like, if we're going to be physically based, how do we make pools of water that just float in the sky? You have to suddenly tell the world or physics system or simulation so much information that rather than playing the game, you're having to, like, massage basically what amounts to Excel with a shiny hat on, just like to. So no, but we will have flexibility for making rivers and things like that. That is very much on the cards, and that will probably be connected to the roads or tracks kind of system. Yeah.
Okay. Somex Tacky asks, is there a plan to introduce wider and rounder archers at some point or soon for building these massive Gothic cathedrals and golden marble Baroque churches?
Again, oh man, I'm sorry. There's going to be a theme with the asset stuff. I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't recall the plans, the roadmap on that kind of stuff. That's not the next set that's being worked on. I can tell you that. I believe next up will be the kind of, oh yeah, well, the revisit of the mega sector, take 2, might be the next one, or it might be another smaller asset pack. See, this is the problem. It's going to be whatever the art team decide.
Yes, I definitely recommend
But
making an asset request.
Yes, and also when we finally get around to doing tile and prop modding, then some of these problems will lighten up from our side as well, because you guys will be able to build them.
Yes. Some Tacky asks, in the unsupported mods, a mod exists that links doors to hide volumes. Closed door, hide volume active. Open door, hide volume
Love that.
visible.
Very cool.
Could something like this be natively integrated into the fog of war / visibility feature?
Oh, okay, that's a broader question. So I guess I'll answer a few ways into the fog of war visibility feature. I don't want to keep tacking things onto the visibility system, this vision thing that I've just shown off, because this is meant to be a stopgap. So I'm not meant to be growing this into a big thing. The fog of war is based on actual what the miniature can see. And so that thing will respond automatically to doors being opened and things anyway, like the old experiment did way back, even though it was in the end unsuitable. Unfortunately, I think that stuff is still in there, isn't it? So that'll be fine. As to why not just add that feature to the game? Thing is, it's sick. I saw that mod and it's really nice and the effect is really cool. But the problem is, like, if we're going to do a feature, I want to do it like right, not just a kind of like once you can link things to doors or link things to actions, like, okay, we want to do, like, that should be a system. We should look at like what programming, which is what it amounts to, what wiring up in like story, like environments and things with scriptables really means, and how that is going to be maintainable, and how to visualize it, and all that kind of stuff becomes really important. So one of the things is I look at this and go, well, there's a mod to do that. That's pretty cool. We can, like, I'm glad that's just there right now. And like, we can get to eventually like a more all-encompassing kind of like system. So again, rad mod, but not something we're just going to add in.
Okay. Sergeant Winters asks, how is Fog of War coming along?
At the moment, I haven't been doing any Fog of War stuff. I've got the vision stuff that's going to land. We got to get the particle system stuff done, so we can start looking at effects and weather. The terrain system's on the go. So yeah, like, I've basically parked it for a while. There was some great design work that we did on, actually Chair did with me when he was over.
We had a lot of chatting.
Yeah, so we know exactly what we want to start, what the next version we want to try and build is.
The question is, will it work?
Will it work? Exactly. So that's how it's coming along. At the moment, there's been other things that have been more important to the community, and obviously like bug fixes and support and all this kind of stuff. That's been where we've been at.
Okay. Some Techie asks, is it possible to make props snap to normal tiles, maybe with a different keybind, or would that create other complications? Sometimes it just makes sense to be able to snap a prop to a specific tile.
Yeah. So it wouldn't strictly be to the corners of props, because that doesn't always line up with the kind of point of interest on a tile. So sorry. If you have attachment on a prop, where would it snap to on the tile? And it wouldn't just be the center of the corners, because that doesn't really mean anything. Would there be attachment points? It's the idea. It would then be, in my head, I would think, oh, there'd be attachment points on the tile of like points of interest and stuff like that. We'd want to go through and add those to the existing library. I know that if Johnny's watching this, he's probably screaming at the screen right now, because I know this is something that he's thought of and had like solid ideas about. So while I can't answer it, it's not being forgotten. And yeah, we'll see what comes of it. We'll ask the boss.
Okay. Some Tacky asks, is there a plan to introduce wider and rounder? Oh wait, that's the
same one. You've gone backwards.
Yep, I have. Didn't.
We'll answer it again.
The queue.
I don't know. Stop asking.
Monophos asks, there has been a number of people asking for minis to lose bases to look more like melded with the background. Would changing the look of bases to the transparent ones used for the larger scale might help with differentiate combat and NPCs in the background?
Interesting. Okay, that's a different angle than the usual one. I have very much a soft spot for the removing of bases for making statues and things, though I would rather have a mini to prop transform that actually turns it into something more akin to scenery and makes it more like a prop, maybe with some visual flair to kind of do that kind of stuff. This one, though, I don't think so. The transparent one is communicating something more than just it's big. It's saying that, like, so the the part that does the colliding with the scenery is not the full encompassing of the base, which is different, which is how the normal one is. We like the physicality of the normal base, though. I mean, I would definitely vote for slight changes, but again, that's not my wheelhouse. But yeah, I would love to see base modding in future as well, and then as soon as that's there, someone's going to make a invisible base, and this problem will be solved. But I guess I don't have too much more to add to that right now. Would changing the look? I don't know if changing the look would probably be like, to answer your question properly. Maybe. I think for some people, maybe that would be enough. I know for other people, it wouldn't be. And yeah, probably better just to fix some other things. That's all I got.
Legend Docs asks, are there more theme tiles like Dwarven, Infernal, or Draconic on the horizon?
Oh, that's a good question.
I do know Jason's been chomping at the bit to do a Dwarven set.
He really has. He's been like that would definitely be the guy to be doing it, and right now he's on Kickstarter stuff and leaves. So I say, I don't know how far your horizon is. How's that for a non-answer? God, I need art team.
I will say it feels like people smell that no one of the art team is here and just put all of the art questions in here now.
There are a lot of art questions today.
Well, I guess I know what a lot of the answers will be.
We will make sure that these get forwarded on to the team at large. Maybe get you some questions.
And also in the next banter we can chat about this stuff as well, because we won't. Surprise, we won't have all of this done in the next 2 months. So yeah, we'll still be relevant. Next art question.
Caustic Therapy asks, any news on the Linux client? That's the last chat, so didn't get to ask.
We're just using Proton, and it's fantastic. We do work to make sure that everything is supported on Linux. The main thing we had difficulties with in the past was with URL support. That should still be working. If it's not, let us know. But yeah, we test our releases against Linux. Proton actually, like as a Linux dork myself, it's kind of almost sad to say that like Proton is becoming the stable API to build against when you're trying to ship on Linux, but is what it is. It's pretty great, man. I'm loving the Steam Deck and Steambox setups at the moment. They're so cool. So yeah,
I will say it's probably one of my. I would really like to do this one day, but no news. No, I'm just.
Like a native client.
Oh, I'm absolutely a Linux nerd, but I know it's not in the cards right now because, like, the problem is, apart from all of the problems of supporting more OSs, the version of Unity we're on is just many things have changed with regards to bettering cross compatibility, and we don't have all of those things yet. And it's a huge can of worms, and I would love to at some point, but no news. I wouldn't expect it anytime even close to soon. Like
I don't see a reason to do it at all right now, other than just it's cool to do some stuff, and it would be an excuse to learn a bit of Vulkan. But that's just again adding more things to the plate would be cool.
Okay,
they run so well.
Caustic Therapy asks, any chance we can get more Samurai / Ninja and general Oriental minis?
Chance, absolutely. Again, we love the set. It's so funny because I'm on the coding side. Like I experience the art releases like you do. It's like stuff lands and go, oh my god, this is so cool. So when I say our art is great, I'm not meaning to be boastful. It's like I think that team does a really good job. So yeah, I love that set. It's really cool. I hope they do more on it. Yeah, keep the requests coming in because we need to know what packs to expand on. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Maribor Rezik asks, will the foam terrain builder be able to create quickly flowing water, like maybe even rapids, and then also a gently undulating pond surface? Creating ripples from a specific part of the pond is getting greedy, but dang it, that would be cool. Thank you.
Would be cool. Just as a complete side note, just got to spot at the start of your question, with that foam terrain builder thing, that's terminology from the very beginning of Tailspire, so welcome, old head. But yes, like when we first were thinking of doing terrain, we had a very, like, it was going to be literally like a block that when you place tiles, it kind of got out the way and you could like do stuff with it, and that it's moved much, because that was when, you'll remember, but like we originally had a floor system, a really strict floor system, and then we realized that didn't work and we threw off the shackles and everything got complicated. So yes, foam terrain builder, that we're just calling it the terrain system now. And yes, we should be able to do rivers and things like that. To what degree of fidelity we want to be able to say that we'll handle in terms of like things looking like they're super ferocious or whatever, I don't know, because again, that's not my Johnny's the man on that kind of stuff, and we'll see what is feasible. Again, like even the first version is only going to be the first version, so we'll see. But yes, rivers and like connections between places, yes, absolutely. Ripples, I think it's probably going to be a bit much, but you know what.
Okay. Maribor Rizik asks, can the devs talk about the balancing act between giving us a tool that enables us to have a fun time playing the game, while also giving builders the tools we ask for to create amazing things? Thank you.
Well, I will. And also, Lemurian, we will put this up on YouTube as soon as. It'll need to be annotated and stuff first, but yes. Balancing act between giving us tools that enable us to have fun times playing the game, and also building builders the tools. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. It's where do I want to start with this? I suppose to there's a degree to which like we haven't focused enough on the actual play side of things. I mean, we enjoy playing with it, but there's a lot still to do there. Like one of our real pain points is the initiative system. Has been like, it's old and really clunky, and we so desperately want to do more with that. We very much like, we have an idea of the kind of like feel of the game that we want, and we very much kind of stick to that. Johnny and Jason really drive that, and they're kind of like, it flows down from there. We know we have limitations that aren't in other programs, and we don't mind, because you have to build something. If you try and put everything in, you get nothing. And that's, yeah, things get messy, but it is hard because you want to do well. Like we've done experiments like upping the resolution of the primary grid and making things thinner, but all we managed to do with that was get the same problems but more fiddly. And so it's really something we just kind of test, and we just go, okay, like we're building like with toys in general. This thing is an analogy for something. It's not meant to be perfect like fidelity. This is meant to be, again, a space for play and creativity and storytelling. So yeah, there's a balance there, and it's not something I could write down like prescriptively of like, this is what we do, but it is something that's on our minds all the time. And this happens from every level, from like the coding side, but also at the art thing of like, okay, we're making something, but if we structure it like this, then we know that you crazy folks will turn it into God knows what, and then later we see that it's like the face of a mech or something. It's like,
and then we have to tag it.
I every time I watch builders like streams, it blows my mind, because it's just like, I'll pick up like, I don't know, a washing machine and go, oh, I know what this is, and it's like, yeah, it's a wash, and then suddenly it's like embedded in a wall and rotated around, and it's like it's like, oh yeah, this is clearly a console for my sci-fi thing, and it's like, that's so dope, and it looks great. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling now. Yeah, it's a balancing act. I think I've talked about it. I suppose I've rambled in that kind of area. I hope that covers roughly what you wanted. If not, please just ask again. I will happily ramble some more. But yeah, it's something we're thinking about all the time.
Okay. OL Kevin Young asks, are there any plans to improve the lighting or offering light nodes like Omni/point lights or spotlights? Maybe even a flat lighting mode. I find the current available settings are very limiting. And while I do love to create moody environments, when it comes time to play, I rather everyone can see the action.
Totally. Yeah, lighting's hard. We've been back and forth on whether on what degree we rewrite the lighting system ourselves, and what degree we like move up to a later version of Unity and like change out. They have newer tools, but it means like rebuilding a whole bunch of code, which we could do, but that would take me out of action for like 6 months. Is my like completely out of my butt number kind of guess. And that means in that time, while we're doing that kind of rewrite, you're not getting features, you're not getting all these things. So it feels like there's a lot of stuff we need to ship first before that would be acceptable to the community, and we don't just get kind of roasted out of existence. The lights are very much set at this thing of like, if you increase the range of the lights much more, you start seeing the flaws of like things going through, literally through floors and through walls and things, and that those limitations become very obvious, which sucks because like we are very aware that the intensity of the light is just like and like not like the range, but also like the fall off is tricky and things like this because you have a natural fall off, then things look even darker. And yeah, it's something we're thinking about, like we've thought about, but we have a wish list there. Also, so far we've very much stuck to like a physicality, so the light is in a thing, and we've allowed people to hide stuff while keeping the lights visible. That's kind of in halfway house. I wouldn't be entirely against having lights. I know that from within, I think even Jason was a fan of like building some kind of lighting stuff that's more just a light that shines in a place, but beyond, like we can work out how to make that feel like Tailspire, but we still have to deal with those other fundamental lighting issues, and that is not on the next month or like few's roadmap. I'll tell you that. That's how I go.
Okay. Roll Mobile asks, would it be possible to use letters in the 8 stat bubbles on the minis? Currently, only numbers are allowed, and the option to use letters would be really useful.
That'd be cool. Yeah, pop that in a feature request, because it's like, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I wonder how forgiving we can be with that. That'd be really interesting.
I do wonder if that is a singular letter for each of the fields, or if that's several, because several would come into UI problems very quickly. So it's
but if it's yeah, because I mean, there's already
because people will
issues,
just write text in there, then and then it's going to be interesting.
like it is. Here we go. Like, what? Are you ready, chat? What is a letter? Let's get into like you can have a single grapheme that is like Bismillah and stuff like this. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, like I think, because I was thinking, yeah, we could allow a couple of letters. Yeah, we'll have to see what that means. Everything is more complicated than you would imagine. It's amazing. Humans are weird. But yes, I fundamentally agree with the premise of what you're saying. It would be neat. I like that.
Okay. Romaville asks,
Hey, 10 hit points. I like that.
when we enter build mode, all tiles and props are displayed, even those hidden with hide volumes. Could an option be added to keep them hidden even in build mode? It's very difficult or impossible to remove small fragments visible outside the hide volume box, because when we enter build mode to delete them, all other assets appear, blocking the view, and we have to delete too many things before we can get to what we want to remove. Sorry for all the text.
That's a really good point. I like that. I think that could be because we got the build tool bar at the top. We could pop that in there. I love that as a feature. I can't this second imagine why that would be a bad thing to have as a button. Like we have the toggling for the water kind of stuff. It feels very much like one of those. Do put a request in. I like it.
Apparently,
Yeah.
Baldrax has a feature request open for this.
As a person who does the bug tickets and everything, I will have to add that we will need to have some sort of UX that explains why when you place something in a hide volume that is currently not shown, nothing appears. Like there has to be some UX that goes, oh, you have the hide volumes hidden, because it's already a problem with the isolation mode. Some people activate it and suddenly see nothing anymore.
Oh yeah.
And kind of that's that thing. Like it's not a, oh yes, let's just add a toggle. It's I'm not against it, but for my own sanity's sake, I don't want to get too many bug tickets about it, and we also want to have like a good experience for this.
How about I just ship it? Then what you
But yeah, there's some subtleties to look into.
That is a really good point, and that's why we have to write this stuff down. Awesome.
Okay. Fox Monkey D asks, when are you guys going to focus on existing tickets and not more art and models? Like, can we get fog figured out? Gloves are off.
The thing is, the people making art aren't writing code. The people writing code aren't making the art, other than Johnny. He's a genius, and that's different. But that's the thing. Like, them making miniatures isn't blocking me from writing code. Like, that's not the reason that you haven't got Fog of War. It's just I can't do all of the stuff. I'm unfortunately, you bought a product which has, sorry, I was about to just spend a lot of time knocking myself there, but like it's just a thing. That's not why it's not happening. I just haven't managed to get to everything, man. There's we're working away. I think team are doing grand. But yeah, we're staying small for a reason, but that doesn't mean we don't get to everything fast enough, and we feel it, and you feel it more. So sorry.
They do clarify lots of love, no hostility. Love y'all.
Well then, what am I going to do with all my hostility now? Fox monkey. What am I going to do? That's cool. Thanks, man.
Gone Splitters asks, what are you guys most excited to work on next?
That's so funny. The voice in my head's just like anything we can ship. So I think I think just shipping all the cool stuff that we have in progress. I don't have a next more than just like, it's gonna be so cool to get like tag search out. But that's even that. I just think, oh yeah, but that's creature tag search. Then we've got to do all the tile stuff, and it's the same with the particle stuff. Oh, we'll get the particle system built, but that's not immediately going to land for the community, because then we've got to like start building effects with it. I think that's it. I think it's more shipping than features. I'm just looking forward to us doing stuff. That said, I really want to see the terrain stuff come to life. Oh,
Will you believe me if I said tags?
Surprise.
Yeah, it's been kind of, I will probably pretty much right after shipping the content flags, I will continue on the tag stuff so we can get the questionnaire actually worked into Tailweaver Lite. We'll need to think about how to get that within our own Tailweaver, because it doesn't make sense to give you all of the new tagging tools while our own minis are still not using it. There's many things in there. I'll continue there, and I'm gonna be really excited once all of the tag stuff is done, and not just the very tiny part that are content flags.
Yeah. That's something we didn't even get around to talking about, is how we had someone, we hired an external person to use the questionnaire thing and tag all of our minis, all of our creature minis internally, to see what kind of results they got, to check our assumptions. I think that was a really fun process, and those tags will be used in the game because the results were cool.
I think I'm chomping
what
at
about
the
you,
bit
Panda?
for too many features.
Yeah.
And I don't even do the code, and that's the problem. So maybe I should look into that.
I know one you're waiting for, because I'm
Yes.
working on that right now.
I think the thing I'm most excited to see happen is probably dice engine improvements.
Yep.
That or hide volume. I would probably never use Fog of War if I had hide volumes. But
Interesting.
yeah, those are my things that I love to see.
And you mean like kind of like arbitrary shaped hide volumes? What's the hide volume thing?
Arbitrary shapes, management, auto. It's too many clicks. Is I think the long short of it. We can get into it sometime if you'd like.
Oh, I mean, there are tickets that get into it. It's yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Next.
Happy Development says, longtime user and GM here. I'm growing increasingly frustrated that top requested features have been marked as planned, but have not been developed after years of waiting. Where are we with hide volume system improvements, turn counter, GM notes, player movement restrictions, etc.?
Where we okay, so player movement restrictions is tied to the rewrite of that system. GM notes have been waiting on fonts as part of it. The turn counter is into the we haven't started on the rewrite of the I mean, let's say it where it is. That is frustrating. I'm sorry. We're just, if we were building this with, that's the thing that I am glad we're building it in public with people, because it, again, two things. It tests out everything. We get ideas of what to actually build. But the downside, obviously, is there's constantly things to fix and systems to keep running. We just can't break the code like you can if you haven't got people playing your game. So that slows things down, and it's slow because just we're some humans that are trying not to, which we're trying to crunch less, because I know that myself and Johnny and others we've done too much of that in the past, and we've ended up, some of us, in hospital, and like we're not doing that again. So we're trying to get life balance, and I don't know how to get all the features out without working too much, but it's I don't have a good answer for you. It just sucks, doesn't it? Like, we haven't got you the features yet, and it is frustrating. I'm looking at this question again. Where are we with high volume system improvements? Yeah, specifically those ones I'm like aren't the ones we've been talking about what we're working on right now. So very little to say about those, which obviously is the thing that you've seen and is frustrating. Sorry, I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay. Lionel asks, so is there a plan for upcoming updates to reduce CPU usage a little? Not something that optimizes everything, since I know there are still things to implement, but is there anything planned to lower it at least a bit?
I'd love to do that. Again, like right now, the focus is on features because when I'm doing performance stuff, I'm not doing features. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. But yeah, I'd love to get back into that and do some of that. There's some stuff that like base level, just like you start the game and you've got a few tiles and a nearly empty board, like that baseline level is higher than I'd like it to be. It's never going to be like nothing because that's the wrong problem to optimize for. But there's definitely things in there that need working out. Yeah. So strict plan, no. Desire, absolutely. And it'll be based on, what we can fit in with other things, so we don't we don't let down one part of the community while we're helping another.
Happy Development
was gonna
went
add
and
something.
clarified a little bit with his last thing. He says, you're still the best VTT on the market right now. I guess a central place just to know what progress on those are would be nice. That's a little bit of what this is. But
Yeah, I mean, that's. I suppose we're here for that. I mean, you're completely right to be frustrated. I'm super glad for the compliment, but you are in the right to be frustrated about that. I have very similar. I don't like air all my gripes online because, oh man, that's such a healthy thing to do. But like I feel it. Like there's some stuff that I sit down with a drink at Johnny's place and just like I can't believe we still haven't done whatever the thing is. And there are things. So yeah, you don't have to apologize for that. But I appreciate it. Yeah.
I
We've
would
got the
also
roadmap
say
page, but we don't
exactly.
update it enough. We've got the devlogs, but we don't do them enough. I mean, well, it's not that we don't do them enough. All of the things take time. I'd say the devlogs is a particularly hard one. Like if you're going to write anything that is decent to read, it takes a few hours. It takes hours and hours to write, at least for me, because I'm not great at that. Yeah. Zdasta. Yeah, we're looking after ourselves. Don't worry. Thank you. It's very nice. I find this problem so interesting because I'm in the same position as a fan of other games and things like this, and being on these different sides of it is it's so interesting to get these questions and just be like, I don't know what to say, other than have a lot of feels along with you. But yeah, CPU performance stuff, would love to do that. Not yet, but yeah, let's keep going.
June Rose asks, hi, I've been enjoying Tailspire with some of my friends. Do you have plans to add soon new VFX in like attacks? I think it will help a lot with the immersion.
It would be so cool. VFX, so we have great artists, but VFX is a skill in itself, and so we have to skill up at that as well, as having the tools to use to build the VFX. So yes, like soon in arriving soon to you, no. Soon we'll have a particle system that we can use to help build these VFX, and then we'll be developing our skills on that and shipping more things. That's it.
Monophos asks, will there ever be a feature we can upload images to show to the screen like handouts, NPC portraits, bulletin posts, etc.? We can message each other on Discord and whatnot, but I can't imagine showing up on screen for the players to see in-game would look pretty snazzy.
Yeah. It would be really snazzy. For that, we wanted to look into peer-to-peer stuff. Peer-to-peer is a nightmare, just to let you know. It is not a... I'm going to be really careful with this because the people go, no, but this system... True peer-to-peer is not possible in all cases for all people. So you have to have fallbacks. And then if we're hosting content, like arbitrary content, like images and stuff like that, we have to kind of be that kind of content host. What stops people putting whatever kind of stuff up on there? That's a difficulty. How do we respond to kind of like if we're now hosting and delivering content, whole new reams of laws apply to us. It's tricky. And so we want to do the peer-to-peer thing because then it's very much in your hands, but that takes time. So our backend guy, Borodust, had been working on shoring up all our infrastructure. That's what he's been doing for like over a year now, and it's going really well. It has gone really well. He's like, things have been ticking over really well while he's been on leave. And so, yeah, we haven't got to that yet, but it's definitely one of the things that he's been asking, okay, should I be starting on that now or starting on this one for when he's back? So we'll talk about that on what the biggest priority is. Yeah.
Okay. Fox Monkey D asks, will there be a way to disable players from exposing monster names and data by holding tab? It would help with the metagaming as a DM.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I'm interested in, yeah, I'd like that. It's interesting, like, so, okay, so you as a builder are, you grab a board, you go onto, you know, like Tails Tavern, and you grab a board, you place it down, you throw a bunch of minis down, and now what do you do? Do you have to go through and right click all of them and turn all that kind of stuff off? It seems like we'd need more than that, or that would kind of get frustrating. It's like, yeah, I'd be interested in what that flow could look like, just so it didn't become annoying. I know I want to beef up the creatures panel a lot, so it's not just uniques and to be able to do things in there. So could that live there? I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Okay.
But yeah.
Rolmolov asks, is it possible or is there a way to increase the limit of unique creatures we can store in folders? When they fill up, we simply can't use anymore and must delete others to make space.
The folders have a limit? Oh, I thought the limit was just the number of uniques you can have in total. If there is a limit that's less than the total number of uniques, that's a bug. And wow, I didn't know about that. That's really cool. I can fix it if we get a report for that one. I mean, you might have already reported it. Like when I get to that one, I can fix it. Yes.
Okay. Dylan Type X asks, I love the addition of bigatures. I understand the max size is more or less dictated by the engine block size, but will there come a time when I can make custom sizes like 9x9 or 1.5 by 1.5 to support some of the weirder titles I run?
Oh, please do let us know about the weirder titles you run in any ticket for the kind of creature sizes. So the current limitation is I wanted to pack the data nice and tight because we have to store all this information. So the less space it took up and the better it's laid out for reasons. It was helpful so I pack all of the scales into a very small space. And so all that Johnny did. What Johnny did with the scales is just made all of the ones that were possible available to you. So that's what, like, we didn't change anything behind the scenes other than take away the kind of limit and then give you some UI to interact with it. So if I was to support what you're saying, like in between sizes and weirdy stuff, then that would require changes to the formats of creatures and how they're synchronized and stored and blah, 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 blah. So it's interesting. I definitely need a good, strong motivation to tackle that soon rather than later. So yeah, it would be interesting to hear what systems are blocked by this.
I do want to reemphasize that with the systems, because the more we know about all of your weirds or niche or like small game systems or RPG systems, the more we can consider it. We very much do not want to be a D&D 5e show.
Yeah.
We all like, I love to play not D&D. So the problem is just we need to know about something to be able to consider it. So if you just drop that information somewhere, best the feature request page, it's the best chance we'll have to actually be able to look into it and figure out what all weird things have to be supported.
The only downside, it just makes like seemingly simple features take even longer because we're just like, going,
it's,
oh, but wait,
something.
That game. Yeah. The number of kind of requests we have for even stuff to do with like Warhammer and things like this is like, okay, can we lay things out so you could kind of get away with that? Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Monophos asks, we need more flickering flame lights in more colors, like purple, yellow, pink, red, or even green flame.
Green flame. Yes. Does sound cool. I'm not against that. Feature request, asset request for sure. That's a good point, actually. We now have the tools because of the stuff that we did the other month to be able to do more scripting stuff with flames. Oh, that'd be fun to look into. Yes.
That's also something that I wanted to look into for a while, and now I'm at tags.
Yeah.
The black hole has sucked me in.
You too can join the Tailspire team and not be allowed to do the thing that you want to do because you're in a.
But I want to do tags, but I also want to do this other thing.
Awesome.
Before we move on to the next question, I will say that after the next question is answered, I will be closing the question bot. We are at about a quarter past the hour, and we still have about 20 questions in the queue. So if you have any last minute ones, get them in.
Spoil sport.
Roger4325 asks, love Tailspire and all the work you have put into this tool we use. Was curious if we could expect any SymbioteAPI updates anytime soon. TM. Would really love the ability to listen to Mini's attacks and know which Mini was attacked and who attacked with which type of attack for automation purposes for symbiotes.
Hell yeah. I am going to answer this. I would just there's a follow-up to the one about timelines, asking if we can put dates and stuff in the roadmap. That is something we will never do. I'm sorry, it's so reasonable, but we're not going to do it because it's only caused us problems so far. It's caused problems for us personally. It's caused problems for the community because we just aren't able to. We're too small a team. Like, flexibility is something that is one of the things we can leverage as small, and we can't just brute force things like a big team can. And so dates have just screwed us over. I'm not doing it. But getting back to this, Chair and I, we're actually the right people to be on the stream for this one. Both of us are chomping at the bit to do an update on symbiotes. There's so many things I want to do. Now we've started doing dragging of dice rolls around and things like this. We're starting to iconify more concepts within the game. I want to be able to drag those things specifically into a symbiote and get an event which tells me what the thing is and where it was dropped, so you can drop it into UI inside a symbiote if that's possible. Oh, I'd love that. And the same in the opposite direction, dragging things out of the website and into the UI here. I think there's so much stuff we could do with that over time. I'm getting API ideas. Yes, we would love to. Yeah, I again can't give you a date, but
I will just say I started collating all of the stuff. Like,
did you
making a game plan of like what do we want to tackle, like listing all of the requests, what the things we wanted internally, like figuring out which ones are the possibly easier ones, the ones that maybe require another version bound, but laid all of it out and suddenly tags. It's not quite like that. There were other things that also came in between, but it's.
Yeah, I know we're definitely not doing the API, the symbiote stuff before the font, because I want the font to be part of the next version of the API. And so I definitely wanted that to land first. And yes. But yeah, I want to get the stuff. My brain's gone. Oh no, that's going to make the rest of the stream hard. Yeah, symbiotes. Very yes. More, please.
I'm going to go ahead and shut down the question bot now. If I see any stragglers, I'll get them in manually.
Shut it down.
And our next question is from Sergeant Winters, who asks, any more thoughts on VR implementation, similar to Demio and the likes?
We aren't doing anything with VR in any kind of perceivable timeline right now. Regarding VR, I don't find I was about to say I don't find VR the interesting case. It's a very interesting. I do love, again, have an index, really love it. I think AR is just so much more appropriate for some of the tabletop kind of things, and there are things in that space I would love to do stuff with, but definitely haven't fit into the roadmap. And if we do that before shipping Fog of War, we will get hunted down. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Gunsplitters asks, when you are using local minis, you can't structurize in subfolders. Could the exclude tagging do this work? For example, I can tag my campaign minis with A and my friend as B, so they can exclude all A minis when they are preparing their sessions, so they won't spoil much.
Yeah, so that sounds like something we don't want to put in the tagging system. I mean, I suppose you could. It sounds like hack. We need to give you better tools for organizing. Is that organizing within the library, or you mean something like having a list of creatures, like the uniques panel, and organizing them in there?
They're talking about the library, I believe.
Okay, right. Then, we actually need better. So we have a concept of a folder that we've never exposed But yeah, we need to expose that stuff at some point. And so, like, because when we when we made creatures addable, we're like, oh yeah, some folks are going to use this, and we'll probably get a few hundred of those in. And then, like, so quickly it grew out of control, and that's like now it like yeah, it's bigger than we thought. So yeah, that's why everything's crammed in one space at the bottom of the library. It's just yeah, misunderstanding of how popular it's going to be. So we need
I
to
would
get
have
back
never
to that.
thought we'd have more creatures than slabs. Like
I probably could have told you that would happen within
I
a day.
wouldn't have
Yeah, but-
expected it.
but I wouldn't have believed you. That's the thing. I've been wrong. I'm wrong about every prediction I've ever made about Tailspire. Just like
The database isn't
Ridiculous.
above 16 terabytes yet, I think.
yeah, well, that's
I think it comes from
that-
me being a
that-
user, a actual like GM constantly.
Yeah, but this yeah. Bring it. Next question. I think.
Monophos asks, I think I remember when you guys have spoke for the weather system that you wanted to do very elaborate effects that would affect actual assets on screen, like wet surfaces, rain landing, or snow building up. There's no just having rain falling or snow flurry to just appear on the screen without affecting any asset.
We want to do cool things for sure, but that doesn't preclude us just being able to have rain. But we won't have like 2D rain just on the screen or something like this, like over the top. We need it to be in world. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about this. There's no. You're correct that there is no, but that's I know this is not what the question is about. We're not against making simple effects, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think that's the question.
Okay. Zorum24 asks, we have the ability to convert props to minis. Are there plans to allow minis to be converted to props? Could this work for community-made minis on Mod.io?
If we add that, it would definitely work with those creatures because it's just the same stuff. I'm into that idea. I don't know what kind of visual aspect we'd need to do. It's one of those things that every kind of couple of months we talk about, like it comes up on here and I'm like, yeah, but we haven't started implementing the feature. And I don't know, so I haven't really looked into what it would take. Yeah, I guess that's the end of that sentence.
There's at least the issue where creatures have more freedom in placement than props have. So there's some things.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, it would snap very slightly to a different to the prop grid. There's also things like the collision meshes. We tend to be careful about making those not insane for props and tiles because you can have so many of them, which would be different for creatures. I'm not sure how an arbitrary mesh conversion into into the physics engine is going to work. I know even now some of the things struggle with that, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of details in it for it to work, and also like if you do that and you have a creature just there and you try and grab it, what happens? Because like after you've made it a prop, what lets you know that it's a prop? Because it just looks like a creature. Is there meant to be some visual clue, or is it just like, oh, this creature's broken? It's like, oh no, it's a prop. Like then you have to. Maybe it's just that when you right click on it, that you'll see that it's a different set of things. I don't know. There's some detail there that I'm missing in terms of communication.
I will also say that the tag guy in me kind of screams at this, that we don't want this before we have the prop modding. Because it is really, really, really cool that you're putting props into creatures and like working with that. And I'm so sorry that it's taking so long to get proper tile and prop modding in. But it's. I also want to preface this that this doesn't mean we'll not do it before, but search becomes hard when creatures are suddenly not just creatures anymore in like a wide array. And there's some UX we need to think about. Again, I don't want to say this is we can't do it because of that. But it's something to think about when suddenly half of the creatures on Mod.io aren't creatures anymore. And suddenly we use our creature tags for the not creatures because they're creatures internally, but they aren't. Like there's
but no, I was thinking like the prop to creature tool, which is like an onboard.
Yeah. But if people are allowed to make minis into props,
yeah,
they will do that, and people will make assets that are meant to do that, because we haven't, like, that's our fault. We haven't given them the tools to make it properly yet.
So yeah, that
Like,
would be the kind of, but that's kind of all, I suppose it's
already happening. And
but that would
again,
just
I
be
don't want to say
encouraging that.
it's a complete
That's
limit and blocker,
Yeah, that's an interesting one. All right,
but it's
yeah,
it's
things
a
in
thing
discussion.
that makes me shiver as the guy who tries to make good search.
We're welcome to the planning meetings. You're now part of our. You're now just witnessing a planning meeting going on. Okay, yes, then that's something that will be in the discussion. That's fun.
Okay.
Cool.
Tretchbolt asks, in October, there was mention that there would be new music released, with the next release a week later. I was wondering if you might see any soon. 4 years of the same songs and sounds, while great, could use a refresh.
Yeah, that does make sense. I would have to talk to Jason about that. Jason has been doing all the Kickstarter art stuff, and so I don't know what music tracks he had in the works. Obviously mentioned that last time, but things will have come up. That will be why they're not included. Good question. We can find out.
I do remember Jason saying that. I also remember him saying something internally about the music. I do not remember what it was. I'm guessing something came in between, and it's a shame. Yeah, I don't have more to add, unfortunately. Hopefully next banter with the art team again.
Before the next one, I'm gonna turn my back on all you for a second. I had eye surgery a little while ago, and I need to put drops in because my eyes are getting really dry. I'll be right back with you. And now I can just hear crying at you. It's all just too much. All right, you better read out the question because I can't see shit right now.
The next question is from Roscoden87, who asks, do you plan to introduce first-person view?
Not as a real feature. I keep getting tempted to do it as a kind of Easter egg. But again, doing a good first-person like experience is work. But doing something hokey might be kind of fun. So yeah, the real answer is no.
Okay. Gone Splitters asks, with filters and tags coming to Tailspire, would these filters and tags be searchable for community creatures and Tailspire core library, even local minis?
Yes.
Very yes.
But the entire design document basically for the tag system was meant to be, it works for the minis that we ship, like the first party, the minis we add. It will work for custom minis. It will work for searching on Mod.io. But there are asterisks, which is on Mod.io, we do not control the tools that we get to be able to do searches. So for example, on Mod.io, we cannot do exclusions with tags. The content flags have to be handled in a different way to be able to exclude things. And there are some limitations for the Mod.io search. Once downloaded, we do still get all of the things we can do, and that's like our fault if something doesn't work the way you want it to. So that's great for us. But yeah, yes, it should work everywhere and consistently and all the time and whatever, and it's gonna be great. Probably we will not have all of the features at the start. I want to make something better before I make something perfect. Yeah. And with search especially, I don't know if there is perfect, because humans are such like fuzzy creatures.
We're crawling back into the tag stuff again.
Stop. It's wild.
It's gonna take hours.
But yes, it'll basically work everywhere, but not with 100% feature parity on all of the various things. But once downloaded, it should be all good and working. And I know there was something else I wanted to say, but I completely forgot what it was. So sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Beverdor asks, any news on the custom rule set / character sheet?
I suppose a little rewriting that. So when I imagine like the rule system, I'm thinking something very like being able to handle all the again lots of kind of rule stuff. When I've talked to real users, it seems like actually like having a really strong dice system is like 80% of it for them. So that's where my focus is right now on the kind of rule system, is just making sure that we can do like any other kind of combos of kind of progressively built up dice rolls and all this kind of stuff, rolls that rely on rolls and all that kind of thing. So the first part of that is fixing our rewriting the rolling engine right now, so that's like nice and stable, and to support our new, like the newer dice kind of data structures. And then then fleshing that out. Don't have anything new on character sheets right now. Other than, I've probably mentioned this before, I was around with Borodust one time, and he had a design, because he was working on a symbiote that was very complete or very, very detailed for character management. And in there, he had a way of handling stats and effects, which I really loved, and was really flexible to different kind of rule systems. And I got super excited and slightly drunk when I was thinking about it, and I can't remember all the details, but I know I want to dive back into that again when we get to some rule system stuff, because I think that would be very useful. So that's where it's still like, while we're working on these other features, we're thinking about this stuff, but it's no new code to speak of for that.
Okay. Sumex Tacky asks, would it be possible to show the height in relation to the lowest point, like in feet or something, on the grid while building?
Yes, it's possible to show the height in relation to the lowest point on the grid while building. I mean, it sounds like something we can do. I would definitely be one I would put Johnny on, like, yes, the wheres and what fors of how that could be, of where that would sit to be good. But yeah, it sounds cool. I see some discussions. Yes, I'm in Norway, and that's why it's so bright outside. Yes, we're right near the solstice. We're having a party for that in a few days. It's just gonna be ace. Yeah, just over a week. Christ, it's getting very close.
Tretchbolt asks, is there a vague answer for when weather might arrive? We're in Barovia, so some rain, lightning, and drifting fog would be great additions.
Oh man, I want to go to Barovia now. No, none on dates. Sorry, that's a short version. Nope.
Okay. Gone Splitter says, I remember a post in the blog that showcased effects for miniatures like poisoned, etc. Is this still in the works?
Yeah, when Johnny was talking about the status effects, I think that's very much related to that. That was the thing. He tried to get this working before, and that's what resulted in the ping system within that whole. I'm seeing some Barovia comments. I won't get into that. So yes, it's still in the works.
Okay.
It's not been worked on continuously since last time we talked about it, which is why it hasn't shipped, but it is being worked on.
Okay. Brock's Crew asks, first of all, thank you for all the great work on Tailspire. Now for my question. Any chance we can soon see the ability to group minis, both in terms of on the board for quickly selection to group a move, and in the unique mini menu to quickly place the player party on the board, for example?
Man, I want to do the party placement thing. Yeah, I think just being able to grab a folder of minis, that's such a transformative feature just right there. That's the one I want to do first. Grouping minis can mean a number of things, whether that's kind of like I'm going to use the word tag, but I don't mean tag in terms of searching tags, but yeah, like ways of, because for certain kinds of games, grouping would mean like, like for group movement and stuff, like you grab one of them and it moves all of them. And then depending on the game that you're doing, because we have been thinking about this and have had discussions with players and things, people like yourselves, who have said like, oh yeah, but I'm running this kind of thing where minis don't move fluidly apart from each other like they do in our group movement. They're locked to kind of like a plate, and you move the entire plate like one big mini, which has some benefits and some problems and things like that. So yeah, each of those are cool features. We'd have to work out what some of them mean, but the spawning from a folder, I want to do that.
I will throw my hat in the ring for this as well, with basically the question of like, what would you expect it to look like? Because that's kind of what do you use it for? And would you want selecting one mini to move the rest of the group? Or would you just want it to be a quick toggle to select all of the things and then be able to move them, similar to how an RTS works, where you make a group of minis, or not minis, I guess in RTS it's a group of soldiers or whatever, Zergs, and you then select them, and then you're able to like use them all at once. But if you select a single one, you still have the single one. like that's a thing that these kinds of details do matter because they sometimes depend on what game system you're playing, which way you'd prefer. So it's really interesting to be able to know what of those like you'd want. Yeah, just wanted to add that.
Okay. Nocturnal Wish asks, possible ETA on roofs to match angled walls. My mega build is at a standstill until they arrive.
Oh, sorry about that. No ETA on that. I don't even have. No, that's the thing. I'll have to leave it at no for now until we get the art crew back.
Yeah.
On stream,
Samex
that is.
Taki asks, when marking an area in build mode for copying or cutting, would it be possible to add an option to just move the marked area up or down? I.e., when building a room and realizing it is too low, it could be useful and easier just to mark it and move it upwards, where it is instead of cutting it out and trying to place it exactly where it was, but higher.
Yeah. That sounds great. I mean, that's what we do that for tiles already, allowing you to like essentially just like rotate it in place, which is, I mean, really is just a cut kind of operation. Anyway, it's actually just a delete and it puts it back in the hand and lets you do stuff with it. So yeah, we would just do that with a slab. Like in my head, that sounds like a really achievable thing. That sounds cool. I would love to add that.
But you also use the J word, so.
Oh, God damn it. Yes, I did. Oh, well. Sorry, some taxi.
Okay.
Some taxi.
Maribor Rezik asks, ooh, what is the reason the team is intentionally being kept small? Thank you.
Because things get really difficult when they get larger. If I'll okay. Yeah, as soon as you get past a certain number of people, just the logistics of people becomes very difficult. But one of the kind of really big ones, for me at least, is financial as well. Like the people are the big cost of a company. Like the games tools and stuff like that. Even Adobe, try as it might, hasn't become the biggest cost, nor our servers, nor anything else. It's us. So if we have more people, that puts that much extra financial pressure for us to succeed. And if the numbers going down, like how do, I mean, I don't even have to ask. You have seen what companies do to games when the goal is to make enough money. Not enough money, to make money. We don't want to be part of that. We'd rather stay small and understand that it's going to take us a long time to do everything, but be sustainable, than try and kind of run that gauntlet and put that kind of financial pressure on you folks. Trying to, yes, I don't even know what the terminology is for it, but I definitely would know it if I heard it. That kind of, yes, extracting value. I'm sure all of us are tired of hearing from individuals within this space that yes, that D&D and things like it need to under extracted. So yes, that's difficult. Yeah, I'd much rather just we build cool things for you guys to make stuff with.
Dylan Type X asks, will custom bases be planned or have been considered? I know some users would be over the moon for hex bases, but I would be happy just to use the bases that shipped with some of the models I paint.
Yes, sorry, I was replying to a chat there. Yes. Custom bases, 100%. We'd love to do that. Yeah, I don't think there's actually much to add to that. That would just be that would be cool.
Okay. Akinata asks, when will our long-awaited trunkless tree, aka bush, get added into the game?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what the roadmap is on that, but generally, I'd say the art team don't generally like just making a release with one miniature in it. But there, as much as I like, tend to be the one chatting for like, no, tiny sets. But yes, so like it tends to be kind of bigger sets. So it'll be the next time that we come around to that kind of biome when we're going in. I think that could be a time that it could happen. But yeah, I don't know.
Yep. And then our last question is from Caustic Therapy, who asks, is there any plans to play external music in the game? E.g. streaming cryo chamber, a dungeon town ambiance, or some cyberpunk dark techno mix across your game audio, a little like in GTA 5.
Be sick, right? Yeah, so the problem with local music obviously is that your other players need to have the same music. So then do we get into music sync? And then we're like doing music distribution, and that's like, okay. Again, it's the same problem with the images. We don't want to be hosting that, so it needs to have that kind of that kind of link. Or if it's online services, then like that's an area where Symbiotes might be able to help. We haven't traditionally, like, the integration there isn't as good as we'd love it to be, but it's very interesting. That reminds me of something, actually. No, I'm gonna have to think about that when I'm doing Symbiote stuff again, because that's but yes. What's the question? Yeah, it would be really cool, but it's not a simple one and done kind of feature. It's a very complicated, legally nightmare feature.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would recommend you looking at the Symbiotes, because that is really cool, and the stuff people make is so dope.
All right, that brings us to the end of our Q&A. First, in general, before I say, is there any more for any more, I do remember there is one thing. I don't remember if you mentioned it with the art updates earlier, that we got permission to share, and that is that there is a double door pack in the works.
Oh, no, I forgot about that. That's
yes.
awesome. Yes.
So I just remembered seeing that in our chats, and
that's good.
And that's one of my things I'm looking forward to a lot. So I wanted to make sure it got shared. So with that out of the way, is there any more for any more before we end our stream for the day?
I think that's everything from me.
I think I do, actually, because I think I remembered what I wanted to talk about with the tag stuff. You'll not get rid of me this quickly. I did say that there's gonna be the custom tags, which is basically just texts you add yourself as like a community creator of minis. There is the possibility for us to also allow mod.io search with custom tags, but we'll have to evaluate that because there is severe usability question marks there, because all of our tag system basically is based on being able to autocomplete something you type to be able to highlight or suggest tags. And we cannot do that with custom tags that are on mod.io because the game does not know about them yet. You have not downloaded them yet. So it is technically a possibility, but there might be issues with that, since it would also allow people to search for some random custom tag and suddenly no results show up because only one mini maker ever uses this tag, and like this kind of stuff. Like, there are question marks there. I just wanted to also mention it, but I don't expect it to be anytime soon. I just wanted to mention it. Technically, we can even go that far, but probably not because of the UX questions. But maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that, thank you all for showing up. Thank you for asking questions. Look forward to the VOD and stuff on YouTube and whatnot. And the Banter bulletin will be updated as well. So until then, we'll see you around and see you in another few months for the next Banter.
Take care, folks. Bye.